Yo, 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 what is up everybody? Popo here bringing you guys a new video, and today I'm going to be fixing somebody else's team. Let's go. Welcome everybody, and this is VGC Doctor. This is where we take somebody's team and we improve on it. Now these teams can come from anywhere from Facebook or Twitter all the way into something you send me. So if you do want to send me something, make sure you go follow me on Twitter or come into the Discord and send me a private message, and I'll definitely take a look at the team and potentially you will be on the next episode of VGC Doctor. Now today I did see this post and the team looked not so great. Remember, if you do see this post over on the Facebook group, do not go send hate. This is not about hating on people's team and team building experience. This is about improving everybody in team building, not just the person whose team this is, but every single other person out there. You can learn a lot from these videos and apply them to your own team building. So this is what I saw. This is my doubles ranked team. I sent out Orthworm and Ninetales first. I was wondering, should have put a focus sash on Ninetales because I want to set up Aurora Veil, then switch into Hitmontop to triple axle, grass, flying, or dragon types. Also, which Terra type is best for Hitmontop, and Alomomola, cheers in advance. Okay, so that is what we are working with here. There is no EVs, so I'm not going to be able to input those. But we'll go over the team a little bit here. First, we have Orthworm. This is going to be Electric Terror with Shell Bell. Earth Eater is the ability you want for sure. We got Earthquake, Stealth Rocks, Iron Tail, and Iron Head. So a lot of the move set is not very good. So we're definitely going to be working on that. But it plays a role of on this team where you want to set up Stealth Rocks, I guess, and go for Iron Heads or Earthquakes or something, I guess. Next, we have Dragapult. This is going to be Fire Terror, Choice Specs, Clear Body, has Shadow Ball, Dragon Dance, Hex, and Thunderbolt. Of course, we have Choice Specs with Dragon Dance, though it doesn't affect any of the moves it has. So that's definitely going to be something we have to look into. We have Alomomola. I always say this Pokemon's name wrong. Alomomola with Safety Goggles, Bug Terror, Healer, Scald, Ice Beam, Wide Guard, and Whirlpool. Wide Guard is pretty good, so it makes sense. Safety Goggles is an interesting choice. Next, we have Persian with Normal Terror with no item, Limber, Play Rough, Power Gem, Fake Out, and Screech. Then we got Hitmontop with Grass Terror, Muscle Band, Technician, Triple Kick, Wide Guard, Fake Out, and Triple Axle. And last but not least is Ninetales with Ice Terror, Leftover, Snow Warning, Freeze Dry, Aurora Veil, Icy Wind, and Ice Shard. So just straight out the get-go, this team composition is not very good. There's just a lot of holes. We're also missing a complete item on Persian. So Persian really isn't doing anything with Normal Terra. Like Normal Terra plus Fake Out does a little bit extra damage. Though Limber is not very good when you can have Technician, which will increase the power of Fake Out by 50%. So you kind of want to put it on that if you were going to use this team. As for Orthworm, Electric Terror is really good, and it's one of the better Terras on Orthworm, though in the meta currently, it's probably not that good. In this move pool, of course, Stealth Rocks in VGC isn't very, very good. A lot of people coming over from Smogon, they throw Stealth Rocks or Toxic Spikes onto their Pokemon, but the matches just don't last long enough to make these different, field stats really matter in the grand scheme of the battle. If you have a passive way to set them, like Lamora, those actually work pretty decently, especially if you're using like something like Dondozo, where your opponent's going to be staying in a lot longer to try to get rid of Dondozo, and the matches are going to go more turns, so you're going to get more value out of those Toxic Spikes. Though you got to remember, every time the Toxic Spikes pings, it is also taking time off the clock. And if you have an opponent that can really switch around and maneuver and stuff, they're going to be able to take advantage of that clock and win the game on timer oftentimes. So you got to be careful about that too. And that's why, Stealth Rocks and Spikes and all that stuff just doesn't really work in VGC like it does in singles. Plus, there's only 4 Pokemon rather than 6. This Dragapult, yeah, Dragon Dance isn't really the best choice. We're seeing a lot of physical Dragapults right now. A special Dragapult could be pretty decent with Shadow Ball, Hex, and Thunderbolt. It's not a bad setup. Hex is probably not really what you want because you have no other Pokemon on your team that can set up any status conditions. So Hex is pretty bad into this with this team composition. But yeah, so you could change that for like Draco Meteor, and you have to replace that with something. Alomomola, Scald, Ice Beam, Wide Guard, Whirlpool. Whirlpool's pretty bad, though it does trap the target in, so maybe you could take advantage of that. Scald is always going to be good. Ice Beam, Wide Guard. Yeah, and then this Hitmontop is very interesting. It does have Technician with Triple Kick and Triple Axle. These are both moves that can miss. They're 90% accurate, and they can only hit one time with a power of 15 because of Technician. It's not great. This one hits with 30 power, which is not bad. I don't know if the subsequent kicks get that boost from Technician after they increase. This one, right, it goes from 10 to 20 to 40, so it's not good at all. Triple Axle on the hand, it goes 40, 80, so it's actually pretty decent because you're hitting for like 140. But triple axle's triple kick is pretty bad, I believe. But I think they do get boost off Technician off at least the hits that are lower than 60, but I can definitely be wrong. Muscle Band is also pretty bad as it only increases the power by 0.1%, so you're better off going with something like Life Orb, which you're going to get a huge boost off of. And then Leftovers on Ninetales often doesn't really make sense because it's a pretty frail Pokemon, so you kind of want to take that into consideration as well. I didn't know the natures either, so those are blank. But I thought maybe we can keep some of the components of this team, and the components of this team I decided to keep were Orthworm, because I think Orthworm can be pretty decent in the current meta. It's actually not bad against something like that, like the Sneasler that's going around and the Dragapult that's going around. It's actually pretty good against those as it can take a hit from them. I decided to keep Dragapult as it's a really strong attacker, so you can do a lot of damage with it, and it's pretty versatile and can't be intimidated, which is really nice. And then I decided to keep Alomomola, and there's a specific reason why. We'll go over that in a second. The other three I did throw out and have replaced them with some other stuff. So I wanted to build the team essentially around Orthworm and another Pokemon that can help take advantage of what Orthworm does. So going over to the team I built, we have Orthworm, Dragapult, Alomomola, Murkrow, Garchomp, and Vivillon. So our main focus is going to be our two attackers. We have Dragapult and Garchomp as our main two attackers, and we kind of just want to build the team around them and just support them as best as we can. So let's go over the Orthworm first. We have Ghost Terror now, so we can't be faked out on that first turn. We also can't get close combated by Sneasler, which is a huge boon to us. And we're going to take attacks pretty well because we have a 192 defense stat, which is huge. We're going to have the Citrus Berry, so that way when we go for the Shed Tail, we actually use the Citrus Berry right away, allowing us to use Shed Tail twice if we need be. Protect, Iron Defense, Body Press. This is just going to be super bulky. If you can get rid of all the special attackers on your opponent's side of the field, Orthworm can often just straight up win the game, especially with that Ghost Terra. You do have to still be weary about that Dire Claw, but overall, not bad. So, and we're going to boost up our special defense quite a bit just so we can survive special attacks. Citrus Berry will also allow you to take an attack and then get the Shell Tail off. So that is a huge buff too. And yeah, so this is going to be the Orthworm. Of course, Earth Eater is still going to be the call. Next we have Dragapult. We're going to go to that Dragon Terror, which has been pretty decently common. Choice Band, Clear Body, Dragon Darts, Phantom Force, Outrage, U-Turn. So very standard with an Adamant. 252, 252. You could go less speed to get a little bit more bulk if you want to, because we are running Tailwind, so you just got to go around that. I'm going to save the Alomomola for last. I cannot say its name. Let's go from Murkrow here. We got the Ghost Terror, so it can't be faked out. Eviolite, Prankster. This is going to be a bulky Murkrow, because once again, we're just using it to support. We got Tailwind, Air Slash, Foul Play, and Haze. So Air Slash is just going to be allowing us to get some flinches and stuff like that. We have Foul Play to hit Ghost Terras and Dragapults and stuff. And Haze, of course, just to get rid of boost on your opponent's Pokemon, because there is a lot of that going around, like Goldango is a good example of that. So this allows us to get by the Goldango a little bit easier. And yeah, so it's just a very bulky Murkrow with Eviolite. Next, we have Garchomp, and Garchomp's going to be the main attacker of the team. We have that Ground Terror, Life Orb, Rough Skin, Earthquake, Stomping Tantrum, Dragon Claw, and Protect. And of course, with Earthquake, Orthworm cannot be hit by it, so it just heals him up. So this combination of Pokemon, you can go for Iron Defense's Body Pressing while you keep healing up your Pokemon and damaging your opponent's Pokemon. It makes it for a pretty fun little combo. Though I'm going to be honest, Corviknight is very good against this team, so keep that in mind too if you are going to try it. And I went for a pretty good attacking stat one. Of course, remember, you want to go for those bumps. You can see I lose 8 EVs. I go for 196. As long as he's adamant and I go up one more, it's going to be 198. So for 16 more points, I can get to 200, but it's not really that much worth it. Whereas I can put some of that into bulk to survive more hits. So we're going to be pretty bulky Garchomp. And with the Life Orb, we're going to take some extra damage. So we want to make sure that we have a little bit extra life. This is not maximized life for Life Orb hits. Just keep that in mind too. Because I always forget how to do it. And then, yeah. Next is Vivillon. This is just a basic Vivillon with Steel Terra instead of Ghost Terra because we're already running a few Ghost Terras. Focus Sash, Compound Eyes, Sleep Powder, Rage Powder, Protect, and Hurricane. Just a very good supporting Pokemon. You can also go for Friend Guard on this one if you want to, but just keep in mind you might miss some of those Sleep Powders. We're going to be Timid 252, 252, 4. This is the set I've been using on my teams, and I really, really like it. So it's just another support Pokemon. Can't be hit by our Earthquake, so we have 3 immune Pokemon to Earthquake, which is huge. And our last Pokemon, Alomomola, I don't know, I can't say it. We have that Poison Terra Leftovers Regenerator now, so we did change it from Healer to a Regenerator, which is a huge boon. We have Scald, Helping Hand, Miracle, and Protect. And now, when I was testing his team, because I wanted to make sure that Orthworm at 175 actually procced the Citrus Berry, which it does. I think it has to be an odd number, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't forget, yeah. I couldn't remember what the exact calc was at on that, so I had to test it. But I brought this against a Typhlosion team, and they went for Eruption, and I was able to Miracle and just one-shot the Typhlosion, which was pretty cool. Even though the sun was up, so that was cool. Helping Hand is also huge, especially with the Dragapult and the Garchomp. You can just do significantly more damage, which is really, really good. Scald is going to be your main way to deal with something like that Corviknight. And this thing can actually be pretty bulky as it has a huge HP stat, like a 165 is huge. And its defense is not bad either at 80. And I just kind of evened them out as much as I could, made it calm so we can get some more special defense. So that we can use that Miracle. Once again, Poison Terra is just going to help us so we're not getting hit by those close combats or those Dire Claws. We're able to resist both of those and get Scalds off onto those Pokemon. With a 40 base stat special attack, though, it's not great. You're just really hoping to get the burns, and then one-shot things with Miracle is probably what your main focus is going to be. So, to recap what the team is going for is we want to go for Orthworm, and oftentimes you might go Orthworm Murkrow, so you can get the Tailwind up. We also made this 0 speed. You can change this if you want, but 0 speed allows you to go for Tailwind and also for Orthworm to potentially take a hit, so you don't lose the Focus Sash on the Garchomp. Or not the Focus Sash, the substitute on the Garchomp. So you're able to get that off because of the Citrus Berry. You're more than likely going to take it. Sometimes they go after the Murkrow early on. If they go for Fake Out Murkrow, something into Orthworm, you can always Ghost Terra too. And you'll most likely always get that Shed Tail off, like most of the time. Not all the time. You could also go Orthworm Vivillon, which will allow you to go Rage Powder into the Shed Tail, which could be really, really good. If they go for, something like King Gambit plus something else. You could also go for Sleep Powder if your team is just faster. If they're trying to go for Trick Room type stuff, you can go for that. And then you can bring out the Garchomp and just go for Earthquakes plus Hurricanes or Earthquakes plus Rage Powders. If they're going for like Ice Beams with Porygon, you can go for Steel Terra to take those pretty well. And then later on, you can just bring in Orthworm and get a full heal up, and then potentially Shed Tail into something like Dragapult later on. Or you could start going for Iron Defenses. I had a game when I was testing this that I actually faced up against the Porygon, because I played 2 games just to test a couple of things. I went up against the Porygon. I got the Shed Tail. He got the Trick Room up, but I got the Garchomp out. Next to Murkrow, I hazed to get rid of his boost. Just kept clicking Earthquake, switched into the Orthworm. And then I just went for Iron Defenses, Ghost Terra, and he just couldn't hit me for anything, any meaningful damage. So I was just able to boost up Body Press into Porygon on the last turn of Trick Room, ensuring that he couldn't get Trick Room up after that. So, and just able to win with Orthworm next to Garchomp, and then later I had a Garchomp went down to Life Orb damage, and then I just switched into Dragapult and just went for Phantom Force and just ended the game. So, yeah, it worked pretty well that way. So, yeah, Murkrow plus Orthworm, Vivillon plus Orthworm. You're often going to want to go with Orthworm no matter what. You can also go Dragapult Murkrow, which will just put a lot of pressure on your opponent, especially if they don't have a super fast team. Even if they do have Tailwind, you're going to be able to match their Tailwind. You can also go for Air Slash into trying to get some flinches. And if they have something like that Typhlosion, you can always go out with the Alomomola. You can go out with Alomomola, and you can go out with like Dragapult and just put a lot of pressure on them where, you know, you can go Phantom Force so you don't take any damage. This goes for Mirror Coat. You just do a ton of damage back, puts it in range for the Phantom Force, and then you can go for like Scalds and whatnot. You can also go with Garchomp in this, but it's a little bit less effective. You never want to lead like Murkrow or Alomomola because you're not really getting anything. Earthworm plus this could be pretty good too, because that's what I went with against that Typhlosion and forced it into going for Eruption, thinking it's going to knock out the Orthworm. But in reality, it got knocked out with the Mirror Herb, allowing Shed Tail to go off on the next turn. So I think it's a pretty good team. You just have two attackers. You could make this back into a special Dragapult, and it could work just as effectively. I just don't think right now it's that great, and I feel like physical attackers are a little bit better. So yeah, you could take that as you will. Your main special attacker is going to be Vivillon, but you also have Murkrow, who can do a little bit of damage with the 110. This is doing nothing with 60, but he's hanging out. And then you got three physical attackers with these three. Yeah, so you can just make Orthworm pretty much unkillable unless they knock out Garchomp. I thought about, does he even get Earthquake? He doesn't get Earthquake. That'd be pretty sweet. I was going to say, I thought about putting Ursaluna on this team as well, but I was like, two ground types might be a little rough. We're already pretty weak to ice, as these are all weak to ice, like 4 of our Pokemon. We're also pretty weak against Fairy, as 3 of our Pokemon are weak against Fairy, though we do have the Orthworm to make up for that. We just don't have a Steel move, so... but yeah, anyways, so try out this team. Both of the Pokepaste will be down in the underbar below, so make sure you try them out and let me know how it goes, because I am very interested. The other Pokepaste doesn't have any EVs, so I mean, you could try it. Just try it, see how it goes. But yeah, definitely try this one out. Let me know if it's any good. You think it's pretty fun, because it's more a fun team. Like, the series is more of just how to team build with some interesting mons and have a good time doing so. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys thumbs it up if you did. Make sure you subscribe if you're not, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.